Hello everybody! Happy Monday! Welcome to today's video and back to my channel. And today, like I said last week, I am reviewing A Feast for Crows by George R.R. Martin. This is the fourth book in the A Song of Ice and Fire series, and I'm pretty excited to review this, but I will have two sections of this review. There will be a spoiler-free section and a section where I do mention some broad spoilers, and I will give you my usually spoiler-free part in as best as I can. But I will be touching on some broad spoilers. I'm not going to be touching on I will be touching on major parts, but not as much as I will not be spoiling the entire book, because trying to summarize A Feast for Crows is difficult. That's too long with too many storylines, and it's interesting. Anyway, let me read you this description, and I'm gonna, yeah. Anyway, crows will fight over a dead man's flesh and kill each other for his eyes. Bloodthirsty, treacherous, and cunning, the Lannisters are in power on the Iron Throne in the name of the boy king Tommen. The war in the Seven Kingdoms has burned itself, but in its bitter aftermath, new conflicts spark to life. The Martells of Dorne and the Starks of Winterfell seek vengeance for their dead. Durin Crozai, as black a pirate as ever, raised a sail, returns from the smoking ruins of Valyria to claim the Iron Isles. From the icy north, where others threaten the wall, apprentice Maester Samwell Tarly brings a mysterious babe in arms to the citadel. Against a backdrop of incest and fratricide, alchemy and murder, victory will go to the men and women possessed of the coldest steel and the coldest hearts. By the way, this is a great description, just saying, for what you're literally standing, like what you should expect in A Feast for Crows, because it pretty much matches it perfectly. Like, what, I don't know what else to say about this, except that it matches it so perfectly. All that can be said really about this book without spoilers is the usual, a lot of the usual things in a George R.R. Martin book. The writing is great. The prose is simplistic, but it's very good. So it kind of all works out for that matter, for the type of world we're building. He does build a good world. We have a great backdrop, and he also we also have a lot of point of views. So it's sometimes hard to keep up if you're not paying attention or ready for such a high fantasy, because this is very high fantasy. This is epic fantasy. So these expectations, I think, are warranted when it comes to that. But also, George R. R. Martin expends little time in emotion or grief, as expected, and it takes a while to read the books, and because of that, it can be at times you can feel like you're going through a lot. That said, it's an awesome book, and I enjoyed it. And as much as I enjoyed the book, the main thing I love has to be the court intrigue, which I'm going to talk more about in the spoiler section. But if the court intrigue in like a Game of Thrones, a Clash of Kings, and a Storm of Swords was like up to 10 or like 7, at least 7, the court intrigue in A Feast for Crows broke the scale, and it got turned to 100, because damn, that was a lot of court intrigue. It was good court intrigue, though. It was cool. And the characters are very interesting. We got introduced to a couple of to at least one new point of view. We got Cersei's point of view, which I think is cool. I'm gonna talk more about that later. I think that's the main point of view we have. I don't know, we have a couple of others, but I can't remember all of them. And Cersei was honestly the one that was most interesting. We did get a couple of new point of views. However, we lost a few point of views. I have to admit, I'm a little disappointed that a couple of the point of views I enjoyed a lot in the first 3 books are not there. Daenerys' point of view is not there. It's Daenerys, Jon, Tyrion, Bran. Yeah, those are the main ones that I can remember off the top of my head that were non-existent in A Feast for Crows. But that said, we ended up getting point of views for, like I said, Cersei. We got someone simply known as the Queenmaker, but I'm pretty sure that's, I think her name is Ariana or something. I can't remember her full name, or Ariadne or something in that form. But basically, we have her point of view. We have the point of view of another commander from the Iron Isles. We have the point of view of Asha. We have the point, which is what is this dude's name? Oh, Theon's sister. We have the point of view of Brienne, which I thought was amazing, and then we have almost everybody else's point of view. So, although we lost a couple of point of views, we did get new point of views here. And now I'm going to start running into broad spoilers. So if you don't want any spoilers, not even broad spoilers, you should click off the video now. In 3, 2, 1, go. So something I liked a lot about this. So I liked about this was definitely the fact that it picks up pretty much, at least if you go to like the King's Landing, pretty much right after Tywin's death in A Storm of Swords. I just want to clarify this right now. I love the ending to A Storm of Swords. The ending to A Storm of Swords was great. It was awesome, and it felt vindicating, especially after watching Tyrion kill his father. That felt right. That felt great. That felt so good. And I enjoyed I enjoyed that. I won't lie. I enjoyed that a lot. But A Feast for Crows definitely picked up sometime later, and it was very interesting to see the court intrigue in A Feast for Crows, especially through Cersei's point of view, because Cersei is now a woman in power, but she rules, and everything she seems to do is a bit of a mess. One conflict seems to pile up here and there and here and there, and in one way, you can't redeem any of her actions from the previous books at all, like the killing of Eddard Stark, which she really didn't want to do. That part was actually not her fault. She knew she needed him alive. But you can't redeem any of her actions with the way that she treated, everything that she's done, the way that she treated her kids, the way that she does everything that she does. But at the end of the day, you can say that Cersei Lannister loves her kids, but she also loves power. And when she became queen previously as Robert's wife, she really had none, because all the men had power, but she had no such thing. Now that Tommen is unable to rule, she is queen regent, and Tommen pretty much doesn't make any decisions. Now she has to play the game at court, and even now that her father is dead, men still try to take her power. So she acts kind of erratically, like her strategies are bad, but also she does a lot of things that would pretty much that mess up a lot of the kingdom. She appoints people she probably can't trust. She kills off people that even Jaime knows. Not even kills off, but she takes off people sometimes she doesn't kill them, but she does things that, like, even Jamie's like, you're crazy, like, these things, these people can help you, but she doesn't trust them, and she ends up doing all this stuff and putting people that she thinks she can trust but could probably betray her, and she even realizes some of them can probably betray her. And what's interesting is the way it's the competition. One of the things I really enjoyed of this book has to be the competition aspect between her and Marjorie, or the competition she thinks she has with Marjorie, because we don't get Marjorie's point of view, but Marjorie is more beloved than Cersei. The court loves her, the people, the common people loves her, pretty much everybody loves her. Everybody loves her a lot, and she is, you know, the little queen. Now she's married to Tommen, and now, you know, the Tyrells have power because of her as well. But she ends up being more beloved by court and by people. So she is able to take the things that Cersei wants and cannot. So in order to do that, Cersei, a lot of the things that she does is to try to get rid of Marjorie. She goes so far as to charm one of the king's guards, and she ends up charming him and using seduction in her body. She uses the fact that he wants her physically in order to get him to do what she wants, and she wants him to charm her and be basically sleep with her, and that's what she wants, and she uses her own seduction to do that. And what's interesting is this actually goes back to an interesting scene in A Storm of Swords, where everybody thought they were going to lose to, it was possible they were going to lose to Stannis, and one of the things that she says is, like, you know, if it was Renly who we were going to lose to, I might be able to seduce him, and you know, we might all be okay, but it's Stannis. There's no way I can seduce him, and you know, and she's telling this to Sansa, who's still at the time Joffrey's betrothed, and she ends up Sansa is surprised, and one of the things she says is, you know, to save her, she tells her to save her tears as well, because, you know, it might help her with Stannis, but she also says, like, what do you think, like a woman uses pretty much every part of her body, including what's between her legs. That's something that she has said. That's something that she says to Sansa, and we find out that she has used sex before as a weapon against this person. I think his name is Osney Kettleblack, I think, and she has used it before, and she has slept with him before, in order to get something that she wanted done, and in general, and she's using that again now to get him to charm Marjorie, and so that she can get her arrested / executed for, you know, not being a maid, and for basically not being a virgin, and having sex with another person, and being, I guess, an adulterer, but mainly for not being a virgin. And it almost works. By the end of it, it almost works, because, you know, she almost manages to do that, and, you know, Marjorie gets arrested and everything, and she but at the end of the book, okay, this is a bit of a big spoiler, but in general, she gets arrested too, and she is because she herself went, you know, under torture, Osney kind of like confesses that he slept with her, with Cersei, and it works interestingly. And what was really interesting about Cersei's point of view was also seeing the flashbacks of her life, of her childhood, and how she was very excited at first to marry Aegon Targaryen and be his queen eventually, but she ended up but, you know, they were not, the match didn't go off, and she ended up marrying Robert, and she became queen, but she ended up trying to imagine Robert, their wedding night, as Aegon Targaryen. And it was interesting to see their marriage to through her point of view and the way that Robert would hurt her. Like, people would say that Robert is a good man, but Robert was not a great person. And to Cersei, you know, he hurt Cersei and he like mistreated her and neglected her. Now that does not excuse her actions, not at all, but it is interesting to see them now. I would have wished that Cersei's point of view would have come up in earlier books, because I think she was done a bit of a disservice. But also, you can argue that George R.R. Martin only places point of views when he deems them important and when they are important to the story. And I think her point of view now was actually pretty important to the story. And I'm curious to see how things will go in her favor, in her case, in A Dance with Dragons, which I am currently reading. And another thing I like is, like, she does I told you she does things that are strategically wrong for her, you know, for her rule, including letting free the Faith of Seven, which have previously caused issues for the nobility and the rulers. So it's interesting. Overall, I gave this book 4 stars. I highly enjoyed it. That's like the main big thing. Also, we catch up with Arya in the House of Black, and she's learning there. I can't quite get the purpose, but she is learning to get information. She's learning pretty much what to do there. It's very interesting. Also, we catch up with Sansa, where there is more court intrigue in the area, because now that Lysa dies at the end of a storm of swords. So now that Lysa's dead, because she was killed by Littlefinger to save Sansa, now Sansa is pretending to be Littlefinger's bastard daughter, Elaine Stone, and she also is caring for her cousin Robert, who is very sickly and everything, and he ends up and she was apparently supposed to marry him, and he, like, it was a very strange thing in A Storm of Swords with that Lysa wanted her to end up marrying Robert and everything, but now Sansa kind of became almost like his mother, because she's literally the one kind of mothering him, but Robert still kisses her. And Littlefinger teaches her, you know, the finer points of court, which I think is kind of interesting, because Littlefinger can make almost anything happen. He basically thrives in chaos, and I like that. That said, Littlefinger has an extremely inappropriate relationship with naive Sansa here, because he will randomly kiss her, and like she will, like, Sansa is naive most of the time. She just kisses him on the cheek and it's like, okay, no big deal. But there are points when they're alone that Littlefinger will just kiss her and be and like, I'm just like, dude, you're like a 40-year-old man, maybe. Like, we don't know how old he is, but he might be younger than Lysa, and I don't know if he's younger than Catelyn, but I can't tell. But I'm just like, oh my god, it's just so creepy. I mean, in a Game of Thrones, you know, it was a little creepy to also watch Daenerys have a marriage with what's this dude's name? Khal Drogo, but as bad as Khal Drogo was, as bad as he was, I do not condemn his actions, because it was inappropriate. But however, I only forgive this inappropriacy a little, because they're kind of in a, this thing is written in a medieval period almost, where these things happen, except that Littlefinger is somehow Littlefinger is worse than a warlord who happens to be an enslaver and a rapist. I don't know how that happened, like how I feel like he's worse in the books. But the reason I say this is that in A Game of Thrones, Khal Drogo was sweet to Daenerys. He would basically, like, even the first wedding night, like, he basically asked her consent before initiating sex, and he would listen to her, and he was very proud when she grew to be a Khaleesi and grew in her confidence and everything, and she did slowly start to fall in love with him. And as inappropriate as it was, I can sort of forgive that, because his whole shtick is that he was very sweet to Daenerys, but he was still a rapist, and that's like the bad part about Drogo. Like, that was horrible. I will not condemn that. I would not condone that at all. But Littlefinger doesn't even ask for Sansa's consent. He just will randomly kiss her, and I'm just like, dude, how did Khal Drogo turn out to be better than you? That's not supposed to happen. That's just like, logically, it's not supposed to happen. It's just scary. It's actually very scary. Anyway, I'm going to end my review here because I think it's getting long, and I don't know how long this is, and I have nothing else. Oh, wait, no, wait, there's one more thing. I love the point of view of the Queenmaker because, okay, I know I said in the beginning I was going to go into broad spoilers, but I'm pretty sure I did not just go into broad spoilers. I went into plenty of spoilers. But anyway, but like, I love the point of view of the Queenmaker because it was really interesting. She was basically the princess of Dorne, and and what she wanted to do was actually put Myrcella on the throne rather than Tommen, and I thought that was kind of cool. They had this whole plan to put her on the throne as queen, because technically she's the oldest, and in Dorne rule, by Dorne rules, the oldest, whether she's male or female, whether it's male or female doesn't matter, but they get to, like, rule because they're the oldest, and I thought that was actually kind of cool. And I mean, it all failed by the end, but it was actually kind of interesting to see that, and to see this in general. I liked it. I thought it was cool. I have very little to say to that because they were in the story. Like, they were in the story very little for me to, like, say much about it, but I did like this, and I want to see if that ever develops. So I'm gonna end my review here. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on A Feast for Crows. Any video requests or questions you have, comment down below. Finally, by the way, my comments have finally returned to me on YouTube. There was an issue where all my comments were deleted. Anyway, so let me know all that down below. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're interested in more content. If you have any video requests, check the description to check out ways to contact me, and also make sure you follow me on social media for updates on my life, mainly a bunch of writing updates, because yes, I am currently working on some on a book, and I'm editing one and working on another one, so I am working on a book, and I'm hoping to self-publish hopefully by late 2022. That'd be amazing. That's a goal I have, so I am going to be doing that. And so yeah, and with that, I will see you next week, for if I don't see you sooner, but I'll see you next week. My review next week, it will be, I have a book I somehow procrastinated reading for 2 years. I'm pretty sure it was 2 years. I think I've been wanting to read it since like 2019, and that is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. And I will see you next week with that review. Bye!